Welcome to Binge Theory, the coolest corner on the internet. We are on a brand new platform with the same old people. I'm your humble host, Julian, and today we have Brianna.
Hello.
We have Logan.
Good evening.
And we have two for the price of one, Kenny and Josie.
Hello.
And as you can tell, we are live. You see this little icon up here. That means it's official. We are live. We are streaming to all corners of the internet. And right off the top, how is everybody? We haven't been together for like a week. Anybody doing anything special? Since COVID's kind of subsiding, people are getting out there anymore. Brianna, you doing anything exciting out there in the world?
Only 1 out of 2 vaccines, so still trying to lay low, keep it safe, but slowly feeling like it's gonna get better, get back to normal. So. Back to normal.
I want to get a T-shirt that says that. Yeah, I get my first shot May the 1st. So,
right.
I hear it's fun.
The first one's fine. It's the second one that'll catch you.
Okay, Logan, you had both yours?
Yep. We had both. We are actually 2 weeks out from our second next Sunday, so we are fully up to speed as much as we can be. So it's actually the point where we can go start planning a trip to go see my mother, which has been a year and 4 months in the making.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I'm excited. We're really excited.
I mean, it's amazing how time flies. You don't realize that you've been like sequestered for a year until you start. I'm beginning to see the Facebook posts of when society started to fall apart, and I'm like, wow, it's been a year. Been a year. Kenny, anything going on new in your world? What anything new at all happen?
Outside of dealing with the newborn, I got my second COVID shot today, so yay. So far, I feel okay. We'll see what happens overnight.
We'll mail you some chicken soup in 2 days.
Yeah. Actually, I got Pfizer, so supposedly it's not as bad. So,
are there any residual effects from Pfizer?
No, 3 or 4 days with just, a little bit of fatigue and what feels like what I imagine arthritis would feel like. But then it was just, you wake up and you're fine. Yeah.
Logan, I was being a little lascivious, with Pfizer.
We'll save that for the aftershow.
Yes.
I finally got my PS5.
Right. That's huge news.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very cool. I know the group was tired of hearing me complain about stuff.
I would have been right there with you. So.
No, that and we got to do a whole episode on PS, the new system and all the games and stuff.
Yeah.
But let's stick to our schedule because we have these wonderful new title cards, which it shows we're so professional.
Really up our game.
Yeah, so now you have to like, share, and subscribe because we're worth it. We're not those rinky-dink operations that we were before. This is the real show. Right off the top, Falcon and Winter Soldier has finished its 6th and final episode. Just want to go around and first of all get the feel of how you liked the entire season. Brianna, what were your thoughts on Falcon and Winter Soldier as a whole?
Still kind of lukewarm. I feel like it was bookended pretty nice. Like I liked the first probably 2 episodes. And the middle 2 episodes, I was really not even that excited to see them. Very disappointed in those, but definitely the last 2 were definitely better. And especially the last one, I really liked some of the stuff that happened. So yeah, middle of the road.
I agree with you on some of that. Kenny, what were your thoughts?
Well,
you're in Josie's. She didn't get to see the full season. She's just judging it on the last 2 episodes, right?
No, she's seen everything. We go back and we watch it all.
Oh, there you go. See,
but no, I'm a Marvel fan, so I enjoyed it. I do agree that there were some parts, especially in the middle episodes, that didn't feel like just as they felt shoved in. They didn't felt forced and not as fluid. And but overall, I love the way the show ended. I think the show addressed some very interesting topics, in regards to racism and how we treat veterans. But no, I overall I enjoyed the show.
Yeah. Logan, what was your take?
As a whole, I think I'm probably generally disappointed. I think we were sold a lot better and more almost comedic of an interaction between the two leads, and I think they, being literally the names of the show, were vastly underutilized in their relationship and kind of the heart of it. I think I will say that Anthony Mackie's arc, I think, was fabulous. And I feel that there was probably a little bit of a disservice to everything else being so not with how fabulous that was. His speech at the end is not a Steve Rogers speech, but it's still a Captain America speech in his own way. And I think they really nailed that completely. And, the way and just the reality that he lives in and that we live in and the kind of mindset you have to put on those colors and do what he goes out and does. But I mean, the inconsistencies with Bucky's storyline, I swear to God, in episode 5, he smiled like a human more in that episode than every other Marvel appearance combined, and it was eerily awkward. I kept thinking he was going to take somebody out in the town because he was just smiling and flirting and human, and it was just like, this is not okay. Like, it didn't feel earned. It just felt too dropped out of the blue. I think I called what's her name being the power broker.
You did,
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
No.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, Emily Van Camp.
Yeah. So I called that one, which I guess, okay, like, she didn't get enough in there to really feel either way about it. So, there was a lot just left on the table and not completely connected. So yeah, I'm overall disappointed, but the redeeming aspect of Anthony Mackie's arc, I think, is at least still there.
Yeah.
Now they are talking about a season 2 already. Are you for that, or are you done? You're cashing in your chips?
No, I actually want to see the Captain America 4 with him in the title role first.
Yep.
Now, if they do that, I don't think they could go back to the series, right? I mean, I did hear about that.
They can do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, but I mean, would it be fair to Anthony Mackie going from a lead role in cinema to going to back to a stream series?
Why?
He gets paid.
Yeah.
He's part of the Marvel machine.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what I was saying from the beginning, that this whole series' purpose was to set up the new Captain America.
Yeah, no, I get that, and
so
I get it going.
They already announced, or right at the end of the season, is when the confirmation that Captain America 4 is now in the works with, but at the same time, they were also making statements that they're thinking about a second season of Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I did make sense that they would call it Captain America and the Winter Soldier after the movie.
We'll have to see. Mm-hmm. The only reason I'm saying is that, and again, I know the new reality is that a streaming series is not below a cinema anymore. That the rules have been changed, so I get that. I'm curious to see what they'll do, because going from a series to a movie back to a series, I've not seen it done. Doesn't mean it can't be good. Just haven't seen it done. my 2 cents on it is I think all of you are, very accurate in your reviews. I think that there were lulls. It was uneven in the pacing. I think that you're right. The story arc for Winter Soldier, Bucky. I think also they did themselves a misservice by doing it all in 6 episodes. They could have done a slower burn, and you would have been so much more invested in the storylines. I mean, Bucky could have probably had a better relationship. It would have been, a little more of a painful thing when he went to the father of the person he assassinated. Maybe he might have gotten a smooch from the bartender.
Yeah.
Just some human moments as opposed to everything being a MacGuffin run, and it would have made for more of an impactful turn when the Flag Smashers kind of go into full evil, and also what's his name, Wyatt Russell, going from optimistic all-American to sociopath back to, hey, I'm fighting on your sides again, all within 3 episodes. It was a lot that they crammed in there. And again, you had the power broker, and then you had Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and all these different characters, and Zemo, and it was too much. It was too much for 6 episodes, and nothing was fully cooked.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that's the one thing that WandaVision did well, is that it gave us an emotional story that really filled in parts and filled in things and made a difference in kind of, how we understood the characters from the movies. This didn't do that. And I think that's where it fell flat on its face, because, I mean, look, if you think about it, what has anybody who's not stopped and seen this seen? If they're like, I don't get Disney, I'm not going to watch this, I'll just watch the movies, I don't care. Well, they saw at the end of Endgame, Steve hand over it and Bucky clap him on the shoulder, and he's new Captain America. So you can have somebody going into the next Captain America 4 with him, not see any of this, and not actually skip a beat.
Yep.
That's an excellent point. Yeah, there is no, if this whole thing was essentially Anthony Mackie officially taking the mantle of Captain America, that's a long trip just to get to that. And
there's way too many side quests.
Yeah. We got
but again, that's what the trailer sold, though. Like, that's literally what I thought it was going to be. Like, taking over Captain America, and that was
like a buddy cop show.
Yeah.
That's what I wish it was more of. Forget, cut out half of it and just focus on him and Sam, or Sam and Bucky just, figuring out how to, 1, be Captain America, and 2, be human together, and, cracking jokes, knocking on each other, and flirting with his sister when he's not looking. I mean, I would have loved 6 episodes of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But to that point is, again, we saw him going from when he was in Wakanda and, just being mentally broken until the Dora Milaje, wiped his mind clean of all the programming. And again, Anthony Mackie was what was he? I mean, he was a counselor.
Yeah, a counselor.
Yeah. So I would have expected a lot more of sit down moments between him and Bucky, like, let me help you. Not them going to another therapist and Anthony Mackie not wanting to cooperate. I found that really out of character. How a therapist is being rude to another therapist.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, this doesn't work. No, that's what you were doing.
Well, I don't see that as being off, because in the moment he's frustrated with the situation. He didn't want to be there. He wanted to focus on, what were they doing? I can't remember what they were doing at the time, but they were basically him and Bucky were forced to go see the therapist. So that was like their punishment, and that situation was frustrating. So in that, if you don't want to be there, you don't want to be there. Yeah,
but I would just like a little professional courtesy. That's all. I mean, if he wanted to fast track it, that would have actually been funny. If he would have basically said, "Okay, I'm going to tell you what the deal is," and then just rattle off the steps that need to be taken, not mope and just show up like, I don't want to be here. This is a waste of time. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard that 1,000 times in your therapy meetings. So anyway, I just thought that was a little odd. And I also think that the flirting between Sebastian and Sam's sister was a little forced and just weird. There were just a lot of turns that I didn't care about and I didn't feel were earned. And I'll say it, the speech at the end, I was checking my watch halfway through. There were a lot of excellent points in it.
It was long. Even I had that thought.
Yeah, because he said something really poignant, and then he kept going, and he said something else poignant. I was like, okay.
But I don't know. I feel like I kind of like that because it was literally like he wasn't shying away from any of it. Like he was very confidently saying, like, wait, this is your problem? Well, here's this, and here's your problem. Here's this. Like I thought that was actually more effective in a way. Like it did feel a little bit long, but he was like, nope, I'm Captain America now. This is what I think. All that stuff. So.
I get that too. And you're right about that. I guess it was just, for Hollywood's sake, for the storytelling sake, I usually like not the pithy one-liner, but just, but just the poetic single, statement of, I'm playing script doctor here, but it would be something along the lines of, it's amazing how the stars and stripes stop being as brilliant when they're worn by a black man. There's nobody more American than a black man, because he's fought and died for a country that didn't love him, something like that. So just, again, just a poetic phrase.
I get that from a cinematic perspective.
That's all. Yeah.
I'll say too, I think they earned the length of it because they did repeatedly show him not being listened to. Oh, you don't get it. Oh, this. Oh, that. And I think to some extent, actually. I mean, look, whether it's I would argue if it was, in this day and age, the kind of story they were trying to tell, whether it was a black man, a woman, or an immigrant standing there in that costume saying that, they would have had to repeat themselves multiple times. And, Steve Rogers probably would have just been taken the first time.
You know what? Excellent point. Excellent point. Because certain things are given and other things have to be, kind of
fought for.
Yeah, fought
step
for. Thank you.
By step repeatedly. And that's why I think you're right. It was totally long, but it was so perfect every single time. He never faltered and eventually beat them into submission, so to speak, verbally with everything that was going on. And I thought, that was as poignant as anything else.
Excellent point. No. Yeah, I guess my overall view. If I were to score it, which I'm going to, I would give the entire season a 83. Because I think it had so many opportunities to just bring it home, and it kept veering off into these weird side quests. Mm-hmm. And again, I would have loved just to have seen Bucky getting healed and Sam becoming Captain America. That's it. I didn't really need the Flag Smashers or Zemo or maybe a little reference to Wakanda. But, all this.
I wouldn't have minded more Wakanda flashbacks.
Yes.
And how they cleared him and how he dealt with it and their kinds of therapy. Sure.
Would it be amazing if he had to take the heart-shaped herb and that purged him and they showed this whole scene, or he went on some sort of a vision quest? Mm-hmm. That would, because I loved just that one scene where they were reading off the trigger words, and that was some of the best acting I've ever seen.
Absolutely. And to see so much more of that, yeah. Exactly. I mean, hell, a dream sequence to show how he got the name White Wolf. How in the course of his healing, that would have been awesome.
That would have been amazing. And again, I feel bad because I don't know a lot of the source material on Winter Soldier. But again, if they start paying me to write scripts, that's what I would have done. I would have said, let's focus on Wakanda, because again, remember how crazy you went. Well, how I went when you saw the Dora Milaje, sneak up behind Bucky, mm-hmm. and that's the one the one Dora Milaje that I've recognized from all the episodes, because she was even in Civil War. Mm-hmm. So I just again, I love the callbacks. And you know what's funny is Aaron Kellyman, the leader of the Flag Smashers.
Mhm.
Her whole perspective just seemed to fall apart, and then she just became like maniacal. It was because when Sam pulled her aside and said,
Mhm.
you know, you're basically a fascist. You're trying to, you know, you're just like, you know, all the other victims. You know,
Mhm.
I'm fighting for something I believe, which only works if you're like a big baddie and you know you have like a position and you can just stick by it, you know, like Thanos or something.
Yeah.
As horrible as the plan is, but you're steadfast because you've thought it through. She seemed to be just when things would go wrong, she'd just say, well, we gotta keep doing it. And it seemed a little ad hoc a lot of the time. You know,
It
she
was, yeah, definitely a lot of ad hoc and just doubling down for the sake of I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, that was sort of with the whole Flag Smashers arc is that, okay, kind of fine. You know, I appreciate that there's turmoil after, you know, everybody returning and finding people in others' homes. And I get that. But really, it just wasn't fleshed out enough to really just get fully invested in. And I mean, I like her work and what she did, and you know, to be an actress at her age, to have already gotten, you know, Star Wars and Marvel under your belt, kudos to her. But I wish she had more to work with because I feel like she has the chops to really be able to show it.
Yeah, agreed.
No, absolutely. And again, you know, I started to love her in the beginning, just, you know, who was this person? And then at the end, I'm like, you know, just didn't really feel it. You know, and I'm an MMA fan. Well, I guess I was 5-8 years ago, and seeing George St. Pierre come back as, and apparently I think he might have tried to take some acting lessons. I don't know who was giving them to him because he was very bad. He was very over the top. He was making like the angry face inappropriately through the whole thing. Like that's how a villain. Let me put it this way: he made Jean-Claude Van Damme look like Gary Oldman. You know.
Oh my gosh.
And again, he's an MMA fighter. Don't get me wrong, but you know, sometimes less is more. You know, he was like super villain, but he's not a super villain. He's a mercenary. You know, just in my notes to George, because I know he watches the show. You know, dial it down, buddy. Yeah.
So before we move off topic,
yes,
here shortly, I have a theory. You know, we are Binge theory, right? So I have a theory that Emily Van Camp's character, Sharon Carter, yes, she's the power broker, and I think the show has tried to push us in the direction that she's now a bad guy, but I think what will eventually come out is that she's not.
Yeah.
What she's doing is she basically has gone as far as she can to basically try to bring down a lot of bad people all at once.
Like deep cover.
Yeah.
She's an agent. Yeah. I see that. Yeah, she's just a rogue's secret agent.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like with how poorly they used kind of her character and really spent any time fleshing her out or her motivations, I think it's just as likely that there's an, you know, unseen descent into I was betrayed and how could this happen, and I'm gonna, you know, earn something, get something back, or just worry about me or whatever. Like, I'm not fully convinced that she's just, you know, deep covering it. I think there's probably something there in how quickly she was, you know, exiled, if you will, from both her positions and her places in the past, as well as her legacy to her aunt.
Well, that's because in Civil War, she basically stole Cap's shield and Falcon's wings and gave them back. So that made her then become a fugitive.
Yeah, but again, you know, thinking about the general public that may not remember that or may not even have seen it, and how they kind of just shoved that exposition right in there.
Yeah.
Remember,
and how many things did Peggy do or other stuff where it was just taking it for the greater good, and she does this one thing that arguably didn't make a terrible amount of difference anyway, because they probably had something lying around that they could have used anyway. But she helped out Captain America and got just completely dragged through it. So it's just like this isn't the same world that Peggy was a part of. This isn't the same world that I was in. Like, I think they did, if this is how it goes, they certainly didn't make a point to sell or show any of that to justify whether she's truly one way or the other. And to your point, Kenny, I think she could totally be deep cover if that's the way they want to go. They left her wide open by not saying anything to go any way they need to go in the future.
Which could be like lazy. A season 2 thing. Season 2 is they delve into the history of how she became the power broker.
Season 2, she could be the big bad.
She could.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, let us move on to our next topic. And this one, Logan brought to the table. And, before you say anything, we need to show the official graphic. So, yes, the 2021 Hugo Award nominees. Now, I looked into it a little bit, but I'm still vastly out of my element here. So, Logan, please tell us what this be.
Sure. So these are one of the oldest science fiction and fantasy awards kind of in the genre. It's the World Science Fiction Convention that's hosted every year in various cities all over the world. And with them comes the Hugos. This year's convention in particular is actually in Washington, D.C. Recently, the date was just changed. It was supposed to be in the summer, but it was just moved to December 15th to the 19th. So it's they're calling it DisCon 3 because it's the third time that the WorldCon has been in Washington, D.C. This was actually one of the things I got to kind of work on more as a video editing kind of thing, kind of producing the just the awards and the video announcement of them. And it's kind of cool. So members who have a membership with WorldCon get to vote for the nominees in all the categories. There are some categories themselves they actually get to vote on, which is kind of cool. And they just recently announced them the other week, so that anybody now who is going to it can review the novels or the short form media, fan content, all I think there's like 20 different categories, and vote for the ones they want for the award ceremony in December.
Nice. We got to start hitting these cons. We got to start putting our brand out there. We need a booth. We need a Binge Theory booth, and Kenny can stay there and put little Josie up. Dress her up as Baby Yoda. To get clout.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I thought I would dress. I thought I would go throw it back in old school and do. You remember Total Recall, the original with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I already took. Yes, Quato.
And do the dude with the
Quato. Yes. Quato.
Yeah.
Yes. Quaid.
Yes.
Quaid.
Yeah.
Very creepy, horrible effects, but it was the 80s, right? I think it was the 80s. Early 90s. Yeah.
Late 80s, early 90s.
But hey, reality is stranger than fiction because we are on Mars. So I mean, if anybody hasn't seen that, Total Recall is, pure Arnold schlock. And Sharon Stone's probably one of her earlier roles. And, he basically was a secret agent in his own head, because he did like a dream Total Recall. And it broke out that he was a super spy. But he wasn't aware of that because he had his mind erased. Anyway, yes, the Hugo Award nominees. Excellent. No. Definitely. Now wait a second. You were saying that this hasn't taken place already. It's
No, the convention itself isn't until December. They had some, COVID and hotel stuff, just trying to figure things out. So they pushed it to December 15th to the 19th at the Omni Shoreham Hotel in Washington, D.C.
Makes sense. Awesome. I'm not a member, but I think I might like to at least hear more about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Very cool. Okay, now the next one. Logan, you brought this one up as well. This is, and I have seen a few episodes, but Old Man got to me and I fell asleep. I have a condition.
How do you fall asleep through this show?
I was doing some editing and some other stuff, and then I was up after 14 hours of work in projects, and I put this on, and I'll let you talk about it, and then I'll give my take on it and maybe why I got the sleepies when I watched it.
Ooh. So I assume we're going with Invincible and not Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Though potentially could have gone either way.
Yeah.
So it's actually not on Netflix; it's on Amazon. So I had no idea what this was or about this. I forget even why. Actually, I remember why. There's a guy, a filmmaker I follow on Facebook, and he had posted about this on the fly.
On the fly. We're doing it live.
Yeah.
We're doing it live. That's my my Bill O'Reilly impression. If anybody doesn't get that, yes.
So a filmmaker, a friend of mine on Facebook had mentioned this, and I had seen a lot of cryptic stuff about the way the first episode ended. And I was like, all right, okay, fine. I'll just whatever. It was 45 minutes. I thought it was only one episode. I didn't realize there's actually 8 in this particular season. But the show is Invincible. It is an adult animated superhero series from, I'm going to blank on his name right now. Robert Kirkman.
Yeah, the developer of Walking Dead.
Yep.
Brianna knows him. You guys know that, right?
No, he was already off the show by the time I was on it.
Oh.
With some fantastic voice actors. I'm going to butcher his last name. Stephen Yeun is the main lead, as well as Sandra Oh and J.K. Simmons. And hearing him in a superhero role as opposed to just kvetching about superheroes is kind of entertaining. But yeah, this is usually a lot rougher and darker than I would normally tend to enjoy. But there's just, I don't know, there's a lot of intrigue. There's a lot of dense world building mixed in with the plot going on at the same time, which does lead to a few things that it seems like there were a lot of plot lines from the comics, which this is based on, that he wanted to put into the season that perhaps weren't fully earned. So they came off a little, odd and flat. But there is certainly one hell of a twist in the first episode, and then the repercussions of that through the rest of the season. I am very interested in where this will end. I believe episode 8 comes out on Friday, and I've been really, really enjoying this in a bit of a surprise with how gruesome it is.
Have you seen The Boys on Amazon Prime?
I have not yet. No.
I was going to ask if it's as dark and gory, and so it's
in a comics way. I would imagine so.
The Boys is basically if superheroes were corrupt. Yeah.
I don't know if this is if superheroes were corrupt as much, but this is more if a superhero really hit you, what would happen to you? Or if you were really in the middle of a battle or an invasion they were fighting off, what would really be left of you? And they don't shy away from, and it's funny, the title card actually, as each subsequent episode goes on, they keep the old blood they splattered from the last title card. So, it just gets heavier and heavier with all this splatter, signifying just kind of where it's going. It's kind of a cool continuity, if you will, through it.
So that make it. Now I want to check it out because literally in one of the opening scenes of the first episode of season 1 of The Boys on Amazon, the guy is standing on the sidewalk with his girlfriend, and then all of a sudden you hear like this sonic boom, and then there's blood and guts everywhere, and then it pans out from him, and you see him holding his girlfriend's arms, and there's nothing left of her. And it's like they have a super speed character, and basically that's what happened is he like was chasing somebody and just ended up like hitting her, and then she was gone. And it was so but it was like, if that's the opening to the show, like what else can we expect? And hearing you talk about Invincible now makes me want to watch it.
Yeah. It definitely seems like some of that in comic form for sure.
If I can, because I've seen both, I can tell you, Kenny, that they are very similar. They have over-the-top violence, inconsequential violence, which is definitely the thing. So, yeah, the scene Kenny's talking about, it was very gory, and I mean, it was like Quentin Tarantino gory.
Yeah. Kill Bill style, yes.
Because,
buckets and buckets of blood.
Yes, no, literally, because he, he like Kenny was saying, he was holding his girlfriend's hand, and the character, which is basically the Flash, just turns a corner, doesn't see her, burns right through her, and she just becomes pulp. And not even pulp.
Are all over him.
Yeah, that's not fair because pulp has consistency. I would say more like soup. And
I can see we're really selling it for Brianna.
Oh, yeah. I was like, oh my god.
And to the point, and this is probably why, Logan, I kind of faded on it, because it seemed very familiar. Not in a bad way, but just in a, I get it, superheroes with consequence and personal problems and stuff like that. I mean, The Boys, to Kenny's point, was, like if there was a Justice League and they were, being managed by corporations, and they went on missions, and when things went wrong, they had a PR agent, and some of them are hooked on, supplements. Yeah. In this one, it seemed more along the lines of like, the boy trying to.
It's like and I mean, in the very first episode, there's the sexual assault.
Yeah, it's dark. I will say that, and then they're both based on comics. Comics. Yeah. So yeah, and they're the darker style. They're not like the the DC. Oh, well, Kenny, who draws The Boys? It's not one of the big ones, is it? It's not Marvel or DC or Image.
No, is it Image?
I don't think so.
I can't remember, but but from what I understand, though, The Boys it is kind of based on DC characters.
Well, yeah, it's literally they
Homelander is pretty much Superman.
Well, they call themselves the Seven.
Yeah,
and it's literally they have a guy named the Deep who's Aquaman. A-Train is the Flash. Homelander is Superman. Marva is Wonder Woman. It's not even clever. It's literally just this is the Justice League owned by Voight,
corporation.
A corporation, and you'd love it though, because the CEO of the corporation, or just one of the high people in the corporate structure, is played by what's his name, Kenny? The guy from Breaking Bad, and I always mess his name up. He always plays a very stoic. He's also in one of the Darth the Moffs in
I know who you're talking about. I always forget his name.
Yeah. Oh fudge. It's he was in The Mandalorian. He was the guy at the end who was fighting the Mandalorian. Esposito. Giancarlo. I got it. I said it first. Giancarlo Esposito.
There's a race.
Yes. I get the points on that. No, yes. Giancarlo Esposito plays like this executive. There was, and again, Logan, I want to definitely get back to we completely off the rails. I'm sorry, but speaking of poignant, racially aware moments, there was a scene in The Boys season 2 where basically this woman who turns out to be literally a Nazi, and I'm not saying just somebody who has those values, but no, she was
from,
yes, she was literally standing next to Hitler, Nazi. She ages very slowly. So, she was a literal Nazi. And she works for, she joins the Seven, and Giancarlo is her boss, or manager for the Seven, and this Nazi, and he knows she's Nazi. And the guy that's fighting the Seven, he's played by Carl Urban. And he's just, he's a great actor, Carl Urban. But he's talking to Giancarlo Esposito, and he goes, "How can you stomach working with her? Do you know what she represents?" And Giancarlo says probably one of the coolest things. I don't know who wrote this line, but it hit the nail on the head. He says, "Yeah, I know who she is, but I can't go around, yelling and destroying everything. That's what a white man can do." And it was just so on the nose. He was like, I can't act out like that. That's a white man's luxury. And I was like, what? Who wrote that? But it was just, and again, we're talking like a year and a half ago. So it was really, it was, and obviously Falcon and Winter Soldier has taken it to a more direct level. But anyway, yes, I think it's because when you have the not parody, but parallel superheroes, and I've just seen it done so many times. I'm just like, yeah, but and again, I could be missing something, Logan, in regards to the fact that this guy looks like Superman and Batman's parents combined. And I did hear that there's something happened to a Batman character. I don't want to give spoilers away in the comic, but there was like a Batman-esque character in this one, right? Yeah. But yeah, tell me.
Yeah, I mean the main group of they have basically lots of superheroes, and there are lots of things that happen all the time. Alien invasions in Midtown are just Tuesday. A dragon shows up in China, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's a dragon. I wonder which hero team is going to take it out this time." So it's very like tongue in cheek that way. But yeah, kind of the main primary, most famous or whatever superhero team was very, very DC-esque in their makeup. And I think same thing with the boys, because they, I guess, looking here, they were originally published by Wildstorm, which was an imprinted DC, but DC dropped it after it was a little too anti-superhero. And then, who was it? Dynamite Entertainment picked it up for the rest of its run. So in some ways, I think DC definitely knew what they had and knew that they didn't want it because of how close it was to their bread and butter. But yeah, this in some ways, I think not having seen the boys first might almost have made me kind of appreciate this and enjoy this maybe a little bit more. I still want to check it out, but I do have my own hesitations on it just because I don't normally enjoy things that dark with no clear side to root for, if you will.
Yeah, based on just the movies that you and I have discussed and stuff, honestly, I don't think you'd get much out of this. It's an interesting storyline, but there is a lot of gratuitous violence that's hyper violent.
Not to mention the last scene in season 2 is like the epitome of vulgar. Like when Homelander's basically on top of a building.
Yes. Yes.
Doing something.
Yes. He's expressing his admiration for society, literally.
Lovely. But yeah, for right now, I think the character of Mark, the main, I guess, superhero son, the character the title's based on, it's not quite a teen or it is a high school story. I suppose it's a coming of age kind of a thing. But he's still, I'm enjoying watching where he goes in life and kind of interprets the things that he comes up with and the information he learns. And I'm very interested in seeing how episode 8 ends.
I'm going to try and catch it this weekend. Maybe I'll just do a nice binge on it and see them all at once.
How long are the episodes?
There are 7 out right now. 8th comes out on Friday, and I believe there's only 8 in this season.
They're like 45 minutes.
Oh, 45 minutes apiece, yeah. Which is a decent length.
Yeah.
It is. It is. It's enough to get something going without making you kind of burn out on it. So yeah, no, very cool. Brianna, have you seen or heard about this one?
Nope. But again, I'm not really like following animation type stuff, or I don't think I have Amazon Prime right now, so
yes, I
not on my radar. But that cast really is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah, I've been blessed with a very close friend's password, and you can see that in the comments below. I'm joking, but no. So yeah, I have been able to watch some episodes of some things, and I will give it a second chance, Logan, and maybe you want to give Bad Boys a chance. I have a feeling that you're gonna look at episode 1 and just like you're not gonna make it. You're just
hey, look, I gave Game of Thrones a shot and I got to episode 4, so we'll see how far I get in voice.
You stopped before I did.
Yeah, if Game
I
of
stopped
Thrones
like a season and a half in.
Yeah, if Game of Thrones isn't your fare, shoot.
Episode 4, season 1.
Yeah.
You
how
probably
far I
won't
got.
you probably won't like the boys.
Probably not, but we
I'll let you know how far I get.
There you go. So let's talk about movies. Let's talk about nominees. Let's talk about you and me and all the good things that movies bring us. Let's talk about movies. Yeah, that was a song. If you didn't get that, it was TLC, I believe. Yes. Let's talk about movies. Anyway.
Yeah.
I know Waterfalls.
Yes. Oh yes. Let's start talking Oscars now, and we have a graphic: 2021 Oscar winners. And did anybody see the Oscars? And I want your opinions on what you saw, if you did.
I heard about the stuff, especially the last little bit. That was pretty bad.
I hardly ever watch any of the award shows.
Usually the Oscars is one of the ones I will watch, but this is the least amount I've even known of any of these movies. Like even reading down the list, not many. I haven't even heard of most of these, to be honest.
And Logan, you haven't.
Nope.
And I will tell you this: this is one of the probably only years in over a decade that I have not seen one of the movies that have been nominated, and it's the world we're living in. I
saw Tenet. That's on there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard of some of these, but
yeah. What was Tenet nominated for again? Was it sound design or effects?
Visual? They won was visual effects, I think.
It was definitely something technical, which I give total props to. But it just
they should have won probably in that one.
But. Yeah. Let's just go over a few of these and because I haven't seen any of these other than Tenet.
But we have to talk about. Did you guys hear what happened at the end of the show?
No, what happened?
So normally it ends with Best Picture. So it'll be, I think is it Best Actress, then Best Actor, and then Best Picture, and then they close the show. Well, this year they decided to make Best Actor win or at the very end instead. For some reason, they just switched it around. And then Anthony Hopkins won, and he wasn't even on camera. They knew he wasn't going to show up. He couldn't do a live thing. He hadn't pre-recorded anything. So it's literally all of this to wait to the end to just all right, and Anthony Hopkins won. All right, that's the show, everybody. That's the first thing I've ever. He decided that. That just seems like such an easy thing to be yeah, no. Why would you put that at the end?
And the people who run this, they know who wins. So how they
can
do this
exactly. They knew that
is...
ahead of time. There's no excuse for that.
No.
And let's talk about what a train wreck this thing was. Now, you guys.
Well, they didn't have a host this year either, did they?
Well, they did have
kind of. But
yeah, that was
not
kind
a main one.
Well, here's the thing.
I just saw complaints on Twitter.
The whole thing took place in a room about the size of the Hyatt. It was not a big forum, and again, obviously, social distancing, and you didn't want to have a big crowd. And what's her name? Hosted it. Wow. Jurassic Park, blonde.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
No.
She's a redhead though. So.
Oh, she is red now. You're right.
Jurassic Park, the very first one. Who Jeff
Oh,
Goldblum was sitting on.
oh.
She was also in the Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel so
anyway.
bad. Yeah. And yeah, I'm sure you'll find it or pull it up eventually. She was kind of doing like the intros, but I understand why, let's just say certain portions of America. Laura Dern, thank you. I understand watching this why certain portions of America kind of loathe the Hollywood elites, if you will. It was very self-aggrandizing, and there was so much, praise being lavished upon people just for being there. And it was because one of the characters that one was he was in the movie Judas and the Black Messiah, and he was the one that won the award prior. And I want to see what that was because she was like just lavishing all this praise on. I was like, okay, he got nominated. Or he won.
Right, like he's already like here for the award, maybe.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. And it was just the whole thing was so sad and insulated. It felt because it was so small. And everybody was so and also they didn't show clips. No clips. So they're talking about a movie that nobody has really seen, and you don't even get to see a clip of what they're referencing.
The one year they should have done clips. They did not do clips.
Double down on the clips. It was so odd.
And I forgot that one other thing about that actor in a leading role. So like everyone kind of thought Chadwick Boseman was nominated like postmortem or whatever it's called, but posthumously, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone kind of assumed that they moved it to the end also because like maybe it was because of it's Chadwick Boseman that he didn't win. So again,
I heard it was like a shock.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, everyone was like, "Wait, what?"
Kind of expecting him to win it as like an honor to him, and nope, they're like, "Nah, we're good."
Yeah. Daniel Kaluuya is the one who won Best Supporting Actor in Judas and the Black Messiah. And also who was also nominated is Lakeith Stanfield, who was you'd remember him from Knives Out. He was the other.
Oh yeah.
He was also in Get Out.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. They were both in Get Out. He was the one that ran up to Daniel Kaluuya and said, "You got to get out of here. You got to get out of here." And just like in the title. So
I mean, I looked at the list and I literally did not see a single thing on the list.
It's
nothing.
I saw 2 of the animated movies.
Nothing.
And
Onward and Soul that were on.
Disney. I've seen them as I've scrolled through my Disney Plus subscription. I haven't watched them.
Onward was.
I watched
cool.
Hillbilly Elegy. That was on Netflix because I was bored. There's one other one.
Yeah, I heard good things about Soul, and
that won a few things.
Yeah,
and also Onward. But here's the thing: I'm just not really into the heavy, the heartfelt animation stuff.
So, Soul was actually, it was different than than kind of what I expected. So I'll tell you, it's worth it to watch it once, but I will say, like, I don't necessarily think it deserved a ton of awards. I do think the soundtrack was fantastic. The music was great.
Jamie Foxx played the character, right?
Did he? Is that who voiced the main?
I believe so.
I definitely I enjoyed it. Me and Clara watched it and we both enjoyed it, but it's one of those where it's like, okay, we've watched it and it is what it is.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. And again, I'll probably, spend some weekends in the future just going through some of them and catching up now that I know that the winners, I don't want to watch loser movies. I want to watch winner movies. So So I definitely heard good things about Nomadland, and I want to check that out. And see, that's the type of movie that I would have just disappeared into a theater, and with my Twizzlers and my diet soda because of balance, and and none of that. I just wouldn't see this at home for some reason, and it looked amazing, and Best Director I think also was the same director that did that. Yes, Chloe Zhao, she did Nomadland. Now I'm hearing this is pretty interesting that she's from China, and I'm hearing that they are basically erasing her from all media. So apparently they don't like that she's had criticisms about China and its politics. So they basically so she just doesn't exist in China. So they don't know who won Best Directing in the Oscars because speak to it, which is it's just here's a funny thing, little story. It's story time. Same thing happened in Australia, and speaking of equity and racial justice, there was back in the Olympics. You do remember there was two track runners who came in first and second, gold and bronze. Gold and silver, and held up the Black Power fist during the Olympics. You've seen it; it's an iconic image. There was a third man who was in third place who he couldn't raise his fist, because that would be appropriation and not really understanding the point of it. He said, I want to support you guys. I believe in what you're doing. What can I do? And again, this is back in the 60s. So they said, well, here's a pin. And I forget exactly what type of pin was it, but it was in solidarity with the movement. Australia completely erased him from the entire. Not only did they erase him from the Olympics, in regards to footage and any mention, they went back and removed any awards he had ever achieved in life. Wow. And they did not allow people to educate anybody about him or have him referenced at all. It was only up until like the last few years of his life that they petitioned to get his records reinstated. But just because he was in solidarity with, supporting, Black people, Australia literally scrubbed him from the history books. Wow. So we may say, wow, China's really hardcore. Yeah. Exactly. So, exactly. Mm-hmm. But anyway, on that lovely note, yes, the Oscars happened. Not a lot happened in the Oscars, other than some interesting political stuff. But moving on to something very exciting, and I can't believe this did not win an Oscar.
Well, it came out in 2021.
Right.
We still need a petition for Best Picture.
Let us see what happens. Yes, Mortal Kombat has come out, and it was indeed Mortal Kombat. We were talking a little before. I was like, "Oh, guys, you got to save some of this lovely content for the show."
It wasn't said. It was the tournament without a tournament. Was that you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that a story so simple. Hey, everybody gets together and they go fight in a tournament. That's the story. That's literally the story, and they couldn't.
But it's not.
Couldn't even do that right.
That's the video game, and that's the story everybody's tried to tell.
Mm-hmm.
But I would argue, because we're on how many remakes of this at this point, nobody's really told that story well. So I can, swallow that tongue in cheek for, okay, they're trying something different. A little bit more of an origin story. Why do people have, powers? They can throw flames with their hands or whatever else, or magic blade hats of doom or whatever you want to call it. Like
the sombrero.
Sombrero of doom. I appreciate what they tried to do, and they tried to do something different on a story that, you're right, is just so simple. It's like, set up a tournament and have a tournament.
Yeah. Listen, you know why all the Rocky movies are the same? Because they work. You know, he does a montage and he goes in and he punches the guy until he falls down.
And that's why 5 doesn't work.
That is true. Yeah, because 5 was when he was fighting in the alley, right?
5 was a street fight that was supposed to be just an emotional story that was not a fight or a tournament.
But
But 1 through 4, 6, and 7, 8, because I'll call Creed, unofficial Rockies as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go. They all work.
And again, here's the thing. I don't know what Sylvester Stallone was eating or smoking or dosing, but why would you take Tommy Morrison, a boxer, and make him the emotional cornerstone of your entire film? A non-trained actor who was, I guess, because he thinks boxing is the best thing for everybody, that he just puts about. He did the same thing in 6, because he got another boxer when he was like 60 or something years old.
Yeah, but that one worked. 6 worked. Rocky Balboa
because
worked.
he was a second dimensional. He was a separate character.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't revolve around him. He was just the
No, and there was as much the story arc between him and his son as there was him and the other boxer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And just in some regards, it almost wasn't even a boxing story as much as it was just, a coming of old age story for, a man who used to be great. And that in itself is a whole different kind of compelling. And then you throw I would argue, the most amazingly shot, boxing movie I've ever seen. Because, he went out and he got actual people who filmed boxing shows and said, all right, all the camera crew go, film this like you're actually filming a real fight. And that's why that final fight was like you were watching pay-per-view. It was spectacular.
And they did, they switched out the cameras. They went with the ESPN style shot. And
totally.
I appreciated that. But again, the guy was 70 at that point, wasn't he? I mean,
he was up there.
Well, I mean, hey, he was still doing Rambos too. So I guess it's all relative. I always laugh because the chronology is just insane. Because remember, in Rocky 1, he was 35.
Yep.
And that took
79?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also you got to remember, in Rocky, he was either 1 or 2. He had like no peripheral out of his right side of his eye. He couldn't even drive because he was crashing into stuff. So I just love how they just forgot all that. And in Rocky 5, to your point, he was having like a lot of issues, with just cognition and he was like essentially punch drunk. What they were saying.
We've turned a Mortal Kombat discussion
into Rocky.
Hey, you know what?
Which is a kind of
welcome to your Mortal Kombat review of Rocky.
Yeah, you know what? The conversation is the conversation takes us where it takes.
This is what happens when we're live. You never know where it's going to go.
Exactly.
I love it. I think this is fantastic.
Yeah, but and of course, there you go. So
perfect.
But to kind of stick on the Mortal Kombat, and I get what you're saying, Morgan, in regards to trying to do it slightly differently. And I really would have appreciated it is if what they were trying to do differently was good, but it was so cliche and the one-liners were just cringeworthy. And
okay, I knew someone was going to say that. I thought it was so funny. I don't know. I love Kano. And I don't know. It's one of those things, like they so clearly make fun of themselves. Like even when he's like, they can't even spell combat right. When it was like Mortal Kombat, I'd be like, I thought that was funny, but like I'm not really a huge Mortal Kombat fan.
Did I send the meme out to you guys earlier? It was like a breaking news meme, and it had what's his name that played Kano. And it says, actor who played Kano in most recent Mortal Kombat movie is hospitalized with back pain after carrying the whole movie.
Yeah.
yeah, that's true, though. He was the only character I was like, I care about what happens to Kano because he's so funny. Everyone else,
but his one-liners, as inappropriate as they were it seemed almost like they gave him a different script writer, because he actually had good lines when the main character Cole Young, which was Shatterstar in the Deadpool 2 movie, by the way, in case nobody recognized. I get just awful. That whole character was just awful, and
So
Look,
what I will
I
say
didn't.
is-
No, go ahead.
I will say that. So I played a few of the newer Mortal Kombat games over the years, and from the Mortal Kombat series of the games, they've been trying to make it more of a story, more story based instead of just here's your next fight. I mean, it's what it's like, but they've tried to add story into it, and I feel like that's kind of what the movie did, except that there was no tournament.
Right.
Right.
But I enjoyed it overall. I went in fully expecting the level of cheesiness from the first Mortal Kombat movie that came out in the 90s. Like, I went in be like, it's going to be on par with that. That's what I'm setting my expectations at. I don't care. And I really liked the first Mortal Kombat movie,
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. But at the same time, I did think I had an issue with we didn't have any real concept of how much time was passing. And I'm like, how are these people discovering these powers, and then as soon as they discover them, they've mastered them? Like Kano, as soon as he shot the laser out of his eye the first time, now he has full command and use of it with no training. Like, he needs no further training. He's mastered his whatever Arcana, is that what they were calling it?
Yes, the mystical power.
Yeah. Same thing with the main character, that was basically Scorpion's descendant.
Cole Young.
Yeah, Cole Young. Like, how? Like, I just felt like they all got their powers and just immediately mastered them, and it's like, but they made it sound when they first meet not Kano, when they first meet
Raiden,
Kun Lao and Liu Kang.
Mm-hmm.
Those, Liu Kang and Kun Lao make it seem like it's going to take time to not only unlock this power but to master it.
Well, remember their training? Well, they didn't even have a training montage. They literally went into
they went into this place and that's it.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Logan, you were going to say something?
No, I was going to say I did not come in here expecting an Oscar-winning Best Picture.
True.
I did like the original Mortal Kombat, and I appreciate the camp of it, and sometimes camp is fun. Look, this was fun and not really even campy. It wasn't good, but it wasn't really campy.
No,
it tried. It absolutely
I would agree.
tried.
And it was fun.
Tried to explain how they got powers, which I don't think anyone has ever done.
No.
So they tried to create a whole mythology and kind of build a little bit of a world behind it. I can appreciate and get past the powers miraculously just worked, because yes, you would normally have to train to do it, but how many times have we seen in an extreme situation they're able to overcome and be able to do the things they need to do because they're literally being attacked and fearing for their lives. And for everybody who gained a power, it took a nearly life-ending event in order for them to get there.
Yeah.
It took an extreme situation where, yes, after 3 years of training, the main character would realize, oh, I love my family, here's my magical armor. But you put him in a situation where a four-armed monster is literally killing his family, or Sub-Zero is freezing them to death. And I'm going to figure out what my superpower is pretty quickly too.
Yep.
So I can justify all of that. I think the story could have been a bit better written, and I think that would have made a little bit more. I can give them the pass for the one-liners, because so many of those one-liners were right from the video games, and it was just like, oh, there's a Kano, oh, there's a come over here, oh, there's a fatality. Like, they got the fatalities, they got the lines, they got the moves. Like, what more do I really want from a Mortal Kombat movie?
Don't get me wrong. I love the get over here. That gave me goosebumps. But but when you're looking down at somebody and you say flawless victory, I would.
Come on. That was awesome.
It was though.
No, you're missing the point. It needed to be said, but not by the person, by somebody else.
Someone else.
Yeah, it was just,
they all had egotistical chips on their shoulder, and I think that's what justified it for me. It was like, I mean, look at how much of a snotty, crappy attitude he had, making fun of everybody at the dinner table, and I've trained for this, and I'll make you eat my hat, or whatever the hell else he said through it.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? Yeah, he's totally got a big enough ego that when you literally, I mean, I can see the video game sequence where you manage to go ahead and get around, and it is completely flawless. And it's like, yeah, he's got the ego to say that.
You know what's funny is Kenny was talking about the storyline that they have, like in Mortal Kombat 11, and I've not played, but I've seen a lot of it on people are just streaming it like crazy. That story looks more interesting than this story,
and that's why the writing could have been better.
Yes, yeah, and again, I'm not asking for
Oscar material.
Exactly. I'm not looking for Saving Private Ryan or anything that deep. I wanted to see. First of all, here's one other thing, and I know, Logan, this is counterintuitive to what you liked about it, but I was expecting more violence. I was expecting, just blood upon blood upon blood, and it was.
There was a person cut in half, Julian.
What was that? That when Goro ripped him in half? It was
like that hat that spun through that person, just cut it in half.
The flawless victory.
No. And I liked those. I just wanted that times 3. That's what I'm saying is, here's the funny thing. I love the first, and they released it on YouTube a few days before
the first 7 minutes.
First 7 minutes, I was all in. I was like, yeah, this looks good. The little boy couldn't act, but again, I'm putting that aside. I don't know what kind of martial arts he was doing. Oh, kid, you missed training
and he just froze him to death. So.
That was brutal. Again,
sad.
But the fighting scene and I'm such a fan of Hiroki Sana. Who again? I've mentioned this film 100 times. He was in Sunshine as the ship captain, and he was also in Wolverine. And he was also in Endgame. Was he in Endgame? He played Yakuza that Hawkeye killed when he was in Japan. So maybe it wasn't Endgame, it was before that. No, it was Endgame because he was he went rogue. And in the very beginning when you see him, he's fighting, that's who he's fighting. So he's just a great actor. But again, you only see him for the first 7 minutes, then he's gone, and then he comes back at the end.
At the very end.
Yeah, and he does tag team with his grandson. I'm just like, I would have loved to seen him through the whole movie. And I'm sorry, Raiden. Oh, that was just some of the worst acting I've ever seen, and the worst effects on the eyes too. I was like, what?
I've totally seen better After Effects features. There's no question that there was some consistency issues with that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes even that lizard thing looked really good. Other times it looked bad. Ice, all the ice stuff looked really cool. They spent all their money on the water effects.
Yeah. Anytime Sub-Zero and Scorpion were on screen, that was where all the money was spent.
Yeah. Yeah. I did love the scene with Jax, and I did like how they explained how Jax lost his arms.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Through frostbite. But I like the shotgun, how he froze the shotgun.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That's not how physics works.
The pellets came out and just froze. That was cool.
Did everybody else get have the realization that Jax's arms were gonna magically appear
Sure. I did when they looked really rickety.
Yeah, when they looked like a couple of metal twigs. It's okay.
They look like shrimpy, yeah.
I was all right, I know what's going to happen now.
I didn't see that coming, though, because I thought it would have to be physical matter, and then I was like, oh, okay, no, that's cool.
I found myself very distracted by wondering how they made them work. And that was totally not the point of anything.
All the things
and
that were on his chest.
I know, his magical riveted buttons on his skin.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
and that was not the right thing to get focused on. But I do love him as an actor too. He was fabulous in Supergirl, and was the only person I actually recognized and was familiar with coming into this movie. But I will say it was still hard because I remember the short film that I think it was Kevin Tankrunen who did it back in 2011, Mortal Kombat Rebirth. And they had Jerry Ryan and Michael Jai White as Jax. And even as seven minutes long is all it was, but you do not forget Michael Jai White as Jax. No. And that is one chronically underused individual. Like he should be, at a Stallone or Schwarzenegger or Statham level with just what he can do and his ability and stuff. And I don't know why he's not. But Michael Jai White, I think. And again, that's the thing. None of these people were A-listers. It was not about they weren't trying to do a name to win this. So
and
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if it did enough.
They left it open at the end for the sequels.
They're supposedly signed for up to 4 more. Yeah,
they said that on the success of the first one, they are willing to make up to 4 total films. So they have 3 more potential sequels, depending on how well this does. I'm all for it.
Oh, totally.
I love these kinds of movies just because you can completely tune out. They're fun. It's just fun to watch. It's like, it's not going to be like Oscar worthy. It's it's a bunch of one-liners, and I'm like, cool, let's do it.
And don't get me wrong, I'm a proponent of big dumb fun too. The last movie I saw in theaters, before Tenet, was Bloodshot with Vin Diesel. Big dumb fun, bang bang, slow motion, say the lines. I'm all in. Schwarzenegger films, same deal. But there's at least some craft in it. It's not just but here's the funny thing. The guy that played Sub-Zero, I knew I recognized him. And I remember before I mentioned that there was this great choreographic fighting troupe. But they came out, they're out of Indonesia. And they also did like a cameo in Star Wars that time where Harrison Ford is like, you can't trust those guys. He was one of those troops, and he was in this great movie called The Night Comes for Us. And he has really good skills. I mean, he is like a bona fide martial artist, but they go full speed. So, he was also in The Raid Redemption, which I love that movie as well. Anybody who likes long take, martial arts where they don't cut away and it's just like beautifully choreographed action scenes. Joe Salsam is his name.
It kind of reminds me of there's a Thai actor, Tony Jaa.
Yeah.
I saw Tony Jaa's movies like Ong Bak. Like I saw that before like The Protector ever came out, and I was like, he is awesome. And he started off as a stuntman. He's a classically trained martial artist and gymnast and all that. And he had started off as a stuntman, and they decided to start leveraging him as a lead actor.
Well, and that's what I think that whole troupe was doing, because The Raid Redemption and The Night Comes for Us, they are not actors; they are stuntmen who act.
Yeah,
and that's literally it. And they become names. This guy, he was not an actor before he started doing like these martial arts films, and I mean, he has a very short IMDb page. It just started back in 2011. So, he's been doing just martial arts stunt work, and he looks good on camera. And I was actually really impressed with his acting shot. Yeah.
Jet Li started too. Jet Li was he wasn't a classically trained actor. Yep. He was a world-class martial artist, and and they got him into films.
Exactly.
And his career, he had a long career. I mean, if you look at number of movies in China before he ever became international.
Absolutely.
I love seeing stuff like that though. I love seeing like.
Well, it's authentic. It's
Yeah.
it's like what's his name, Steven Seagal before he found out what Haagen-Dazs was, and I'm sorry, that's unfair. That's cool.
No, it's not.
And those are the things you can't take back when you're live.
Yes, exactly.
That's not cool. That's funny.
If he wasn't such a miserable person in his personal life, I'd be kinder to him. He's not the best person, so I will mock him without repent. And but yes, martial arts films that are starring actual martial artists are just better. In my
Donnie
opinion.
Yen, anything Donnie Yen is in.
Yeah,
I posted a video on social of when
the clip from
on 3.
Him and Tyson.
Yes, again, Tyson. Some of the best acting I've ever seen him do.
Probably didn't know he was acting.
Yeah, but again, it almost took me back to when Bruce Lee and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar fought. Those types of
Or Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris. Yeah, I mean, go down the list.
Yeah, well, Bruce. I love that in that Enter the Dragon, where it was basically a video game. You just fight the boss, then you get to the big boss, and
that was Mortal Kombat before Mortal Kombat existed.
Yeah,
exactly.
Game of Death is essentially Mortal Kombat.
But
what's interesting about the writing too is I actually looked up the two people who wrote the screenplay, and one of them doesn't have any credits, but the other one, this shouldn't have been that bad. And I say this because the guy's credits, whether they're written by, screenplay by, production rewrite, etc., consist of Expendables and Expendables 2, First Godzilla, Ant-Man, Second Zombieland,
that's what it was.
Wonder Woman, Shang-Chi, and the sequel to Spider-Verse. Co-written with others and other stuff, but this guy doesn't write bad stuff.
Yeah.
Or he's just happens to be carried by everybody else.
Or the other writers on those projects carried him.
But they hired him for things. Patty Jenkins hired him, and Stallone hired him, and for what that's worth.
Maybe, maybe he's good. Yeah, but do you think he's? I mean, I know sometimes they share the load based on skill set. Do you think he's more like the action? Not literally the action, but the placement and the physical description and stuff like that.
There's those details are certainly up in the air, and I think you're right. But I mean, you got to figure if you just apparently not him or a better partner or something, maybe writing with him. But if you just up the writing, I think this probably has legs in it. The budget for this one was literally $55 million.
I don't doubt it.
And even in this box office, it's already made back 51, not counting what value they assess being washed on HBO for.
Right.
So I think there may be sequels in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I haven't seen all of the Mortal Kombat movies. I've seen the first. I saw the first 2, and then I can't remember what I've seen after that. But I'm waiting for the Mortal Kombat movie where they introduce a noob Cybot character.
They did introduce one character that I dug. Who was the fast one? I know who you're talking about, but I can't. Yeah, he was all in mad. He basically almost looked like he was from Star Wars. And I just forget his name, but he looked like a really interesting character, and he was super fast. I loved, and again, it was very Mandalorian-y.
He's the one that knew. He was the one that had the history with Kano, right?
Yes, and he was given like these, it sounded like he was, from the streets of Brooklyn, kind of, but he's in a martial arts outfit, and he's like, yeah, you're the reason why I'm wearing this respirator. So it's kind of like a whole Darth Vader-ish type of a thing. Very just, and again, underutilized. I mean, and again, this guy Cole Young, I'm sorry, he can't act. Or maybe they just didn't give anything good to say because, and again, he was relatively young, but the whole thing was that. So he's the chosen one, a descendant of of Scorpion. Before he was Scorpion, and he's just a horrible fighter. Is that was the storyline? I didn't get that. I was like, why does he suck so bad?
Something I think they kind of, without giving enough explanation about it, it was one of those, he used to be great and then something happened and he lost kind of why he was as great as he was.
Right.
And I think they would probably try to argue through the story that, part of it was just a lack of purpose. And the purpose was kind of finding out why he has this symbol and this tattoo and what he's really meant to do and unlocking his powers and all the rest of his kind of family history stuff, which is why he was going back to the ring to find purpose after he was unable to reach his former levels of ability and glory and fulfillment. But he doesn't take that fight at the end because he now knows what he's actually meant to do, and he has that contentment and fulfillment in life.
Cabal is that character you were talking about.
Yes,
Cabal.
Yes. I love that character. I would rather have seen more of him. And I'm going to play script doctor. What should have happened with Cole is that there would have been a flashback. Again, this is a 3-minute exposition. Mm-hmm. A flashback where he's younger and he fights somebody and he murders them in the ring accidentally. And then he essentially shuts down anytime he starts to get the upper hand. He
lets himself get wrecked. Totally. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah. See, again,
perfect.
There you go.
Yes, you can send your payments to my Venmo account.
HBO.
Yeah.
We'll write the second one HBO.
Yes. I mean, if they're doing 4 more of these, we can write them.
Just make it part of our sponsorship package.
There you go. Well,
there you go. We just want residuals,
Yes. Well, guys, I think we said it all. I think we've done it all. I think we've seen it all, and I think we've shared it all.
Except all of the Oscars movies, but yes. Exactly.
I do definitely plan to see the Oscars next year. If we're able to go outside and sit in seats and open doors and things like that. But
what we need to do is, since I don't know if you've looked, but because movie theaters businesses have been hurting, a lot of movie theaters and chains have gone to renting out theaters.
We're already talking about
reasonable prices.
We're
very reasonable.
We're talking about that. We are potentially going to be doing a binge theory movie night. We're working on that. We're not there yet, but we're working on that. So stay tuned. Share, subscribe.
Everybody keep getting your vaccine so we can make this happen.
Exactly. Yes. No sickies. So no.
It's just not 28 months later.
Awesome movie. We need to start doing a pandemic series. Yes. 28 weeks later. 28 months later. I'm still waiting for the 28. It's 28 days later, 28 weeks later.
28 months is the one where
months, years.
28 months, 28 years.
Yep.
Yeah, it feels like it's almost 28 years now. But anyway, good things. Brianna, thank you as always. Hopefully we're going to be getting some more gaming news coming out, with Kenny and his new, dad toy, the PS5, the most precious thing in his life, apparently. There's a
split between this one and my son.
There you go. It's they'll have to fight for your affections, which is
no, they do not. They do not have to fight for my affection.
You don't set up a little Mortal Kombat cage and say, okay, fight for that.
I haven't thought about that, but I like the idea.
Yes, there you go.
All right.
I want to see what you got. I want to see what you do at Halloween. If you do like a Scorpion Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero.
We did that at Playdates way back when. We set up a big, kind of, fenced off area where we dropped all the non-walkers in, and we just called it Baby Thunderdome, and we just dropped them all in.
Baby Thunderdome.
That's right.
Trademark.
Yes, that is that Baby Thunderdome. Wow, that's so much potential. But guys, as always, it's an awesome pleasure and loving this new format. You know, as you probably have seen, you know, out there on the internet, we've been doing a lot of, you know, Zooms and, you know, swapping out camera angles. We're learning as we go, but it's been, you know, an awesome time, you know, with this new technology, and hopefully it'll, you know, up our game so you'll get a better experience and we'll have, you know, more fun just sharing content with you. But anyway, remember to take care of yourselves, take care of one another. And as always, if it's worthwhile, it's worth binging.